today's episode of the Fireground Company podcast, we discuss the rookie experience and why everything matters.
The Fireground Company podcast.
Let her rip, Tater Chip.
All right, so here we go. I guess we've been having a lot of rookies come through in the last few years. So you have all these rookies come through and you think about how are you going to instill what matters, and they're all different personalities, of course, different attitudes, and it can be hard, and I should tell them this, I should tell them that. I think about that, and I'm just like, I don't know exactly what to tell this guy or that guy, or it seems like this worked better, and I know it's always going to be different. I know it's never going to work perfectly, but I was thinking about how do I distill that down into the easiest thing to give them from the very beginning and maybe hit them with like over and over. And to me, I summed it up where if what I need to tell them is, hey, you need to have the attitude of everything matters. That kind of sums it up, I think, as far as a rookie. If you have the attitude of everything matters, you're going to probably make the right decisions if you truly believe in that. I mean, if you don't believe in everything matters, there's not much I can do, but I'm, everything matters. I mean, the little stuff, the taking care of the firehouse, the laundry, cleaning up, the dishes, the coffee, making coffee, if that's a thing in your firehouse. I hope it is. All that kind of stuff, taking care of the apparatus, your equipment, on calls, paying attention to everything, paying attention to the other fellows in the firehouse and their reaction to things you say and things you do. There's little clues about the culture of your firehouse and what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing. So if you come in with that attitude of everything matters, I think that's a good starting point to tell them. And then they may not remember that right off the bat, but if we keep hammering that home, hey man, that's the attitude you need to have, and then we can branch off from that. I think that's a valuable thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think?
So that can be summed up by, I love my little fire department sayings. And another one of my favorites is how you do anything is how you do everything. And that's something I repeat to myself still to this day over and over, is how you do anything is how you do everything. I do that at work. I do that at home. You get tired. You're on your third or fourth task that you're trying to accomplish. And sometimes I have to remind myself, this task may seem menial or unimportant, but how you do anything is how you do everything. So that's something I would tell rookies is you may not see the importance of this right now in this moment, but you're building yourself, you're building your habits, you're building your reputation, and it starts with everything you do. And you're absolutely right. Everything matters, not just because you're young and you're proving yourself in everything you do, but people are watching. People are watching because we won't, on day one, we won't have the chance to see you perform all of the skills and everything. We might start to get an idea of where you're at based on some drills and things like that, but it takes a while to uncover who you really are and how you're built. And if you want to start making a good name for yourself, then it's going to come down to those other things. It's how you do anything is how you do everything. And I guess what our two phrases can kind of come together to create sort of a rookie ethos, which is how you do anything is how you do everything, and everything matters.
It should be obvious. I mean, of course, in the firehouse and everything else, but everything matters when you're actually on the fireground, when you're actually on an emergency scene, a car accident, or whatever it may be. Then it truly is everything matters. So that attitude can be helpful not only in the firehouse but in everything else you're doing, because you're trying to absorb it all. Obviously, there's a filtering process over time that has to occur, but you really need to have your eyes wide open when you're new and paying attention to everything and be ready. And that kind of, it just made me think about what you were saying too, is the movie, or I guess a documentary. You can probably find it on YouTube for free now, but it's the Brotherhood. It's FDNY right after, I think it was within a year after 9/11, that whole,
It's one of my favorites.
thing they had to go through with rebuilding a lot of stuff. There's a great that video is, it's so good if you watch it from the perspective of the culture of the firehouse and some of the traditions, but really the culture aspect of the firehouse. If you go into that video and watch for that and try and get takeaways from that, there is so much to be gained and learn, and just good stuff from that video. And there's a part in there where there's the one guy where they're cleaning up, and that it's funny how, because cleaning up is not glorious, and the guy even says something along those lines where
Mhm.
the one guy's scrubbing the sink. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, yeah.
He's scrubbing the sink, and he says something like the glorious part of the job in that thick accent or whatever, which just sounds cool. And but then he elaborates on that, if I remember right, when he says this is a reflection of me.
Mm,
If I do this and something, and I'm not using his exact words, but if I do this right, I take care of this, I'm dependable with this, scrubbing the sink, then they can depend on me on those other things, the big things. Actually, when we're on a fire, when we're on the scene of a call, when we're at an accident, something like that, you can depend on me because I showed you at least here that I'm dependable. And that's for a new rookie to understand, I think, is important, because a lot of times if they're not exposed to the job before they start, they may not get that. It's not clear to them where that's a reflection of them, and it shows that you can pay attention and you can do what you're supposed to do, and you can be counted on, which is the big part of that. You can be counted on to do the little things. So if I can count on you to do the little things, I can likely count on you, very likely, on the big things. There's no 100% there, but if you're not doing the little things, can I even count on you to do the other stuff?
yeah, and I mean, it says something about, and I say this a lot, and maybe it seems dramatic, but it says something about your character. It says something about how you're built as a person, and and again, we keep coming to that. I mean, it sounds silly to say how you clean a sink is what kind of man you are, right? And that's not really exactly right, but it's not that individual thing. It's a pattern. It's a pattern of how you operate in the world, whether you give care to certain things
Are
or
you
or
dependable?
yeah,
That's what it is. That's really what it, are you dependable? It says something about you as a man if you're dependable,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. And the thing is, I think we get so many young people through the job as rookies that haven't had a chance to build this anywhere else. So in a lot of ways, it's our responsibility to teach them that. And I think you get, I mean, there's nothing you can do for some people.
Yeah.
I think there's sort of, if you really want to break it down into simple terms, there's sort of three kind of rookies that you're going to get. You're going to get one, which is the most ideal, which is somebody who's been exposed to the culture and wants in already, and they show up on the first day, asking, "What can I do?" They're built right. They know what this is all about, and they want to prove themselves. They're out to prove that I belong here, and so that's ideal. And honestly, you're not going to get that every single time. The I'm going to skip the second one. I'm going to go down to the third one, because the second one is kind of where a lot of this applies. The third one is the person you can't do anything with. It's the person that looks at this as just a job, and they just want to show up, get through their shift, and get back to their personal life as quick as possible. And they don't care about what you say about brotherhood. They don't care what you say about dependability. They don't care whether they're becoming a great person, a better man. They don't care about any of that. And honestly, I hate to say it, they're gonna come through your firehouse, and there's really not a lot you can do with that except damage control. Then there's the second type, which is in the middle, which is that person that is in the middle, right? they need a little persuasion, or they're built in such a way that they want to do the right thing, but they haven't been in a situation where they've been held to standards before like this. And those are the people that you can teach, you can
Yeah.
guide, you can show them, and that happens in a lot of different ways. And again, I'm kind of thinking off the cuff
Yeah.
here. We talk about this stuff a lot, but some of it's just coming to me as we're discussing this. I think there's three key roles in the firehouse. And again, I'm oversimplifying it, but you need a strong officer. You need somebody that is sort of the official leader that is respected, and this rookie needs to see other people respecting this officer, that they know what they're doing, they've got experience, they they've built their foundation on a lot of the other stuff we talk about. They have instincts, they have respect, they know how to manage a firehouse. Then I think you need a senior firefighter. You need somebody that's an unofficial leader, somebody that they can look up to and say, oh, that's how it's done, and somebody that can lead by example. And then also, some another important role is sort of the junior firefighter, not, sort of in the middle of their span of experience, where they're not quite that senior man that's been there for a long time, but because again, they're leading by example, they're going to teach that rookie how to look up to the senior man, how to follow what they do. They'll say things like, "Hey, if senior man said it, do it," And they see the senior man looking up to the officer. It's kind of this whole rite of passage thing. And like I said, not every firehouse is going to have all those roles, defined that neatly, but um, I think it helps. And I guess if you don't have that in your firehouse, you can start looking at ways to maybe implement that. Maybe even just like naming the importance of that. That there is sort of I mean, I hate to say it, but a pecking order, and there's a rite of passage that you get through. A lot of these rookies that come through, they need examples. They need to know what they're looking at, what they're looking for. So they both need to be told and shown, you know.
Yeah. I mean, that made me think about two different things. So there's, I guess, the influence. We talk about the officer. We talk about the officer. We talk about the senior man. If you have that, and that probably would be a good podcast just to go into what that ideally looks like, and what that looks like, what it can look like, and when it doesn't exist, what happens. So we'll do that at one point. But there's a lot of influence when you think about it with the firefighter that just got off probation or is really pretty new. They're still within their first like 2-3 years, because they're the ones that can talk a lot to the rookie coming in, right? Because the barrier is very low. And I've seen it happen a bunch of different ways where the I guess the person that's already gone through it, the junior firefighter with them, doesn't really talk, doesn't really offer anything, which is unfortunate. Or the worst case scenario is they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, and I'm an individual, that's what I'm going to be, and yeah. So then the person comes in and they can see that I'm an individual and go that route and get poisoned by that junior member, or they can see I don't want to go that way, and maybe they look to some of the other firefighters. But if you're one of the firefighters that's the junior firefighter that maybe is a year out of probation or 2-3 years in, don't discount the power that you have to help that brand new guy. You know,
That's a huge point. Yeah.
give them give them the hints, give them the hey man, what's going to help you is jump into the sink, man. And if the other, the more senior firefighter's there and says he's got it, don't take his word for it. Push your way in there. That's a cultural thing in a lot of firehouses that you may not know if you're coming in off the street, but you can help that guy. Because I remember, I think of myself when I first started volunteering, and there was a guy that was cool to me. He was actually slightly, I was like early 20s, and he was even younger than me. I think just out of high school, and he actually, pulled me aside and gave me a few tips, and he said, "Hey, man, this is do this, do this, do this." And I listened to him and he pointed me in the right direction. And I really appreciate that. It's something I always think about to this day. He gave me 3 or 4 things to do immediately. And they were simple things. It was like, always try and jump in and help, always do the dishes, fight to do the dishes. And I forget something else. Like, and I was, okay, all right, yeah, man, I'll do that. I'll do that. And it worked out. And so that's, he wasn't, he just got done with his, stuff basically, the onboarding of as a volunteer going through the whatever it is. I guess you're not, depending on what you say, you're not a rookie, but whatever it is, getting through those first steps. And I mean, that was so helpful and valuable to me. And I remember that. So that's what you can do. So you don't have to be the officer to impact the newest guys. And it's the best situation is everyone's doing it at every single level. But man, you have a lot of power, believe it or not, being 6 months out of probation, setting an example, giving them tips and everything else, man. So buy into that and you can make things better even if the other firefighters that maybe are more senior than you aren't the greatest in the sense of the culture that they have for they bring to the fire department and instill and everything else. You can start that from your level and carry that on.
Yeah, and I mean, that's we talk a lot about like how do you start this stuff? How do you get it going? And that's obviously the ideal situation is that you do have a senior firefighter that kind of starts that cycle at the top and goes down, but you can start it at the junior level. I mean,
Yeah.
you can start that, and it sort of becomes a self-fulfilling cycle where now and also it it sets up what you're working for, you know. So if you look at a junior guy that just got their black shield or whatever it is in your department, and you say, all right, now it's on you. You got through your rookie year, whatever, your probation, and now you're accepted. You're one of us now. But as Spider-Man says, with great power comes great responsibility. So you're a brother now, but now you're part of this family to bring up the next generation. And at first glance, that seems like, oh, that's just a lot of responsibility, but it's not. Or it is, but it's not just that. I should say it's also like you earned this. Now we're relying on you to pass this on to the next person. And I think there's some pride that comes with that. It's like, oh, I'm one of the guys now, and now it's my turn to give the next person what they gave me. And if you set that up, and that can kind of happen anywhere in that lineup, is that junior person now is eventually going to become a more senior person. And you even at the company level, just at your own firehouse, you can start this process of buy-in and pride and ownership um, in your firehouse. And I think that, because I think one of the things you have to answer is why 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 do I need to put this effort in, this work in at the rookie level? What am I working towards? What am I trying to earn here? Because if I have an example of a guy right next to me that's not doing everything he's supposed to be doing, is sitting down all day and stuff, and he's getting paid the same as me, what why should I work so hard? And like I said, there's a certain type of person that you're never going to be able to explain that to, and you're just wasting your breath trying. But there's plenty of people that just need to see the value of being accepted into the fold. And you're one of our guys now. You're reliable. You've proven yourself. You're one of us now. Now you're part of this sort of family unit that's going to pass it on to the next generation. And there's value in that in itself, right? And and also that you're making yourself better. You're becoming better not only at the job, but you're maturing as a person. You're going to be more capable. And I guess so. I kind of started answering with, that's also a question to you, is like, how do you sell it? How do you, without just coming out and saying like you have to do this because this is the tradition that we have, what is the motivation for the rookie to fall in?
Yeah. Uh, I think ultimately because it's real, and you know what I mean. It's real. You're gonna have moments no matter where you are, and I hate it when these guys spew this poison of oh we never do anything real, and I get it, man. If you run a lot of nonsense calls, we run a lot of nonsense calls, a lot of general softness. Dude called 911 for general softness, whatever. We run those calls. I mean, but it's still real. It still happens, and it can be real anywhere. So having the attitude, having that good attitude as a rookie, man, I mean, you're when you have that hard call and reality strikes and you realize you're fatigued and you're not as in shape as you should be, you realize you don't know the job as good as you should. There's holes in your knowledge, there's holes in your experience, your skills may be a little sloppy. That's when you start realizing it never ends and you have to have a serious attitude that everything matters and you need to pay attention and you need to get better. That doesn't mean you can't have fun in the firehouse and a good time and everything else. But starting out, I guess, going back to the beginning of all this, having that attitude, because you don't know, when you can take your foot off the gas, right? When you first start out, you
Yeah.
you really don't know. It's hard to discern what really matters and what you can kind of is dial down, all that kind of stuff. So just go all in on it. You'll figure it out, you'll sort it out over time, but go all in on it. And it's yeah, I mean, if you buy into that, I remember I had, and I'd love to whatever mention his name, but I don't want to mention people's names without their permission on this. But I had the guy that taught me in recruit school. He really, I bought in 100%, man. I wanted this job so bad. And I mean, fire department getting the jobs now, like we know, is different. I mean, I was starting to try and get the job around, the year 2000, and it took me from 2000 to 2004, 4 years of applying and trying to get in. I mean, I was volunteering during that time period, and it was so hard to get the job, and I
Mhm.
wanted it so bad, man. And I was bought in. When I finally got hired, I was all in. I guess that kind of worked out perfectly because the instructor didn't use those words, everything matters, but that's what he was saying. And it was as if he could see me. I just got this feeling he was constantly watching it. Even when he wasn't there, I was like, does he see, does he know
Mhm.
that I swept that up, that I cleaned that I completely checked. I mean, it was as if he was everywhere, man. And cause I was one, afraid of screwing it up because how hard it was to get the job. And then two, he had the magic spell of I wanted to do good for him. I wanted to do my best for that guy because I wanted that guy's respect. And that's kind of magic when that happens, when you can get people to do the right thing because they're not doing it just because it's right, but they're doing it because it's right and they don't want to let you down. That's really powerful. But man, I felt like he just saw everything we did. If we didn't sweep up properly, if we didn't do this, if your shirt wasn't tucked in, he was just
Yeah.
everywhere watching. So I mean
I
that
I know who this
yeah.
is you're talking about, and he's a very powerful presence. But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, would it be fair to say that not only in your rookie year, but in a way that the gravity of his presence is still with you?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all. I mean, there's people you have to think. We all probably, if you're truly into this, we all have probably 3, 5 max. But there's probably 2 or 3 people at the very least that you do not want to let down.
Mhm.
It is devastating to let that person down, and they don't even have to tell you that you let them down. You just don't. I mean, and we have those people, man, and that is like one of the biggest motivators, out there on
But
top.
here's something I know. I'm going to go ahead and say this, and I know it's going to make you blush, and I don't mean to flatter you. I mean to make a point here is that you had that leader or that presence in your career, and that was very meaningful and very powerful to you, and it shaped you. And now you, whether you want to admit it or not, I can tell you, dear listeners, as a firefighter working on his cabin, you've become that to other people. And you may not be able to admit that to yourself, but and again, I'm not trying to flatter you here, but you were built in such a way that, and this goes back to what I talked about in earlier in this episode, is it becomes a self-fulfilling cycle because you had that presence in your life, and now you got built up a certain way in your career, and you're at a point now where you are that person to other people. Right? It's the fact.
Yeah, I mean, that's for you to say that, that's a heavy weight, man. I don't want to let you down because of that. So, and I guess that's why it goes full circle. Because if that's what you think, and if that's what some other people think, I don't want to let them down. Even in that different role where it's the role of outranking someone. I don't want to let the people down below me just as much as those people I look up to. So it's a good circle, I guess, if you create that. And that's kind of the magic in fire
Yeah, but
departments.
nobody said it's easy. It's not
No, it's
easy,
not, but
but it's worth it because the
it's worth
payoff,
it.
the
Yes.
value of
It's
that in your
worth it,
life
man.
is more than you can get from other things.
Yeah.
And then there's two other things I want to touch on real quick here. One thing you said to me too, to kind of lighten it up a little bit, if maybe all the gravity of all this responsibility and
Mm.
everything is too much. One thing you told me about your rookie experience, and I like this mindset, is you said you saw it kind of as a game
Oh, yeah.
and you
Yeah.
wanted to win.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And if that's how you have to look at it to succeed, I think that's okay too. It's because there is a little bit of a game. There's a little bit of tongue in cheek, like,
Yeah.
we know what we're doing, but we're if on both levels, both as the members that already exist in a company that are kind of putting on this thing for the rookie, and the
Yeah.
rookie responding to that. There's a little gamemanship in it.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're up for it, play the game.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a lot of work. It's exhausting. You should be exhausted as a rookie, but it kind of becomes fun if you start looking at it that way. Like, okay, I see what they're doing. I'm gonna rise to this challenge. I'm gonna play this game until I ultimately win it. Right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great time. I know I've said that to you before. Like, I was a part of 2 paid departments, and both times I actually enjoyed being a rookie. I mean, there's a lot of, obviously nerves and pressure. You want to do your best, but in a way, you kind of you have a little bit of a pass to say, I screwed that up, you know. But you only have that little bit of a pass if you're trying and you're doing the right things.
Mhm.
So if you're doing the right things, they guys want to see you succeed. They're going to do what they need to do to see you succeed. So it's just fun, man. You're the new guy. You get to do all the hands-on stuff. People forget that, and sometimes I think they think, yeah, I don't want to do the hands-on stuff. Well, it's fun, man, to be you, you're the tip of the spear, man.
Yeah.
You're in it. You're doing it. You get to be the guy, on the nozzle a lot of times. You're the guy searching. You're the guy physically doing a lot of these tasks. And I mean, it, I don't know. I loved it. I loved it. I would go back in time just to, be younger and do that again. And that was my only focus in life at that point. I mean, I was all in. I loved it, man. I was reading everything I could read. I don't know. I want fellas to experience that magic, man, and embrace it. And because he sees people that are trying to rush through their rookie stuff to get to the next thing, man. And I always tell people, don't rush through, man. This is a great time. This is a great time. Soak it up. Enjoy the fun ribbing you're gonna get and everything else, and the
Mhm.
guys, the little banter they're gonna give you, and laugh at it. That's the other thing I see that people people don't know how to do is, and there's I think of another good, unfortunately, it's the tragedy of the whole 9/11 thing, but there's that 9/11 documentary with the French, the guys filming that
Mhm.
rode along with the companies in FDNY, and let's take that aside for a moment and you look at the life in the firehouse, and there's a moment in there too where the guys, the more senior guys telling the rookie, where he says, hey, we're going to keep doing this until you laugh at it. And it's so true. I mean, that's a magic little trick. The guys, because we've had them, man. We have guys that even had experience, volunteer experience, that, and they get all sulky and they have that sulky little face and the pouty face and doing some of the stuff that's hard. And it's like, dude, don't show people that attitude, man. Have fun with it. Laugh at it. Just do what you're supposed to do. Give them a little chuckle and everything else. Show them you're engaged. They're gonna love you, man. That it's I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I tell rookies when they first come in, I say, prepare for this. This is going to be, whatever it is. To really, you're a rookie for the first 2, maybe 3 years. I say it's going to be the hardest 2 years of your career, but believe me, one day you're going to look back and it's going to be 2 of the best years of your career.
Yeah. Yeah. And make it that way for them. The firefighters on the other side of that. We talked about the guy that just got off probation, the officers and other firefighters that have more time. Make it a good experience for them. And what do I mean? Don't pamper them and all that, but make it a good experience where you do hold them to a standard. Yeah, you're not going out of bounds and hazing them and that kind of stuff, but you're maybe making it a little uncomfortable when they're not doing the right thing by telling them and dealing with that. And but still you're teaching them and you're showing them how to have fun. Do that for them and get them to buy into you, because because we've seen it, right? And we know guys that go overboard with the rookies that are just jerks, man. They're just straight up jerks. And
Yeah.
look, that rookie may not be perfect, man, but by you being a jerk to that guy constantly,
Yeah.
he's going to check out, man. He's going to be an individual. Yeah, he may not be the top tier. I get it, man. But this is the card we were dealt with, this new guy. So we need to do the best we can. And by just, whatever with him, you're not helping the situation, dude. And you're going to have no pull. That's the other thing that blows my mind that these guys don't understand, that just lay into these dudes, is that dude's going to shut you down. They're going to get through their probation and you're going to have zero influence on them. I'm not saying be their best friend, but work on that relationship where they can tell, and this is the key, they can tell you actually care about their well-being.
Yes. Yeah.
If they can connect the dots that you care about their well-being, that's the best chance you have, even if they're not the all-star, to listen to you and influence them. And that's not easy, and maybe sometimes you even have to explain that to them and say, hey, I'm doing this, man, because I don't want to see you get hurt, and maybe relate a story of something that happened to you or whatever. But yeah, don't be a jerk, shut them down, do something stupid. Let them know you actually care about them. And that's why you're holding them to the standard. That's why when they screw up, you're telling them that they screwed up and, letting them be uncomfortable with the situation and letting that sit there and letting them know, man, I'm disappointed in you.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed. I feel like that's one of the most powerful things. And I know we do that little, I don't know. It's a little, I do it. If guys, I care about it. I say something to them. And I know you know this, where I say, I'm going to be disappointed in you, man. And I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to look at you and you're going to see that look and you're going to know exactly what I'm thinking. And I'm going to think that. And I'm not going to tell you, but you're going to know. And if the guy has the right attitude, it works because it's true. I'm like, what are you doing, man? I know you're better than this. So I don't know.
I read something. I wish I could remember who, because it was from somebody, one of the giants. I know
the Giants.
The giants of the fire department, and they said, it's easy to catch people doing something wrong. It's harder to catch people doing something right. So be on the lookout for that. Catch somebody doing something right. And I think that's too, again, like you said, if you've listened to this podcast long enough, you probably know we're not into pampering and coddling and feelings and stuff like that. Far from it. But by the same token, you are a guide and a mentor. And part of that is catching them in that moment when they're doing something right. And it doesn't even have to be, you don't have to, you don't have to have a big celebration or a
No,
festival. It can be
and you
as
shouldn't.
it no, and I've had those moments too where I catch somebody doing something right, and all I have to do is look at them and give them like a little nod or
Yeah,
a little chin up, like yeah,
yeah.
good job,
Or like, hey man, keep that up.
yeah, keep it up. That's all it
That's
takes.
good.
That's all it
Yeah.
takes, and then it positively it guides them on their track, right? Like obviously you gotta point it out when they're doing something wrong, but also just not even an attaboy, just a little look, a little good, a little confirmation. Good,
Hmm.
you're doing the right thing. There you go, attaboy. Um, so I think I have a way to bring this episode to a conclusion. Do a little exercise here. I'm curious to see what you say. Again, we're not going to use names, and we're not going to put anybody on blast here, but just picture a rookie, a problematic rookie that you've had. We've had great ones, we've had tough ones, we've been through all the ups and downs of different types of rookies, but picture that one that you're trying your best to get bought in, and pretend that they're listening to this podcast right now. They're sitting in their car, our voices are speaking to them, and they're listening, and they want to know, what should I do? What can you, and again, it's probably going to be a little bit of a summary of everything we talked about, but pretend they're listening to you right now. Here it is, Mr. Rookie, Captain McClain. What are you going to say to this guy to get him right?
I mean, yeah, of course it starts with one, the attitude, make sure they know everything matters. Have that attitude. Um, Always go out and look to help out and contribute. And I think that's the next thing that they sometimes will struggle with is anytime anyone's doing anything, you should be trying to help in some way. And some of them don't get that. They have to be reminded over and over. You almost should be a little on edge about that, like a little. Wait, where is everyone? What are they doing? What are they?
Yes.
Almost scanning what's going on. How can I help? Hey, what can I do? I mean, that's the second part of that. Um, and always have something to study and really study, man. Don't just have books out in front of you. Don't do these little stupid games with I got my phone here and I'm looking at my phone hidden in my book or this or that. Don't do that. Really study, man. Really study what you're supposed to be studying, and during normal business hours is what I tell them, man. You come in, you should be studying. If you're not doing work, if you're not cleaning, if you're not checking something out, you have something in front of you. You're truly trying to study whatever that is, your maps, your streets, your SOPs, SOGs, your tactics, your whatever that is, have that and go till, at least after dinner. And then, you want to go to the next level, then do it till you go to sleep, man. Go, study from there. But those probably the three things if you can walk away with is everything matters. Always look for work. Try and help out any way you can, and then any kind of downtime. If you're not doing the cleaning, looking for work, whatever it is, checking stuff out, have something in front of you, ready to study and study it, and be on edge for anything else that anytime anyone needs help. Put your study stuff away or set it down and boom, go right into action. You hear something out in the bay, you're like, oh yeah, okay, boom, I'm out there. Hey, what do you need? Can I help you? Look to sweep up. I mean, if that attitude, you're going to be an all-star, and anyone's going to, in the sense that you have the right attitude, and anyone's going to want to work with you. So even if you have deficiencies, they're going to want to make you better because you're doing all the things that you should be doing. So that's it.
All right. And while I've got you in front of me, Mr. Rookie, here's my advice. Learn to drink black coffee and put your damn phone down.
Yeah, phones are bad, man.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that wraps up this episode. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for stopping by. Check us out at firegroundcompany.com You'll find links to all our social media accounts and our YouTube channel, and you'll stay up to date on everything we're working on. We also have a store on our website where you can support us as we grow this community, plus working on some great courses to help you strengthen your leadership in the fire department and support its traditions and culture. Last but not least, subscribe to the podcast, give us a rating, leave a comment, spread the word, get this out to the firefighters who are hungry to make the job even better.
The Fireground Company Podcast.